Hello and welcome to Ironcast. My name's Anuki and I've just defeated COVID, I think. But more on that story soon. First things first, big shout out to the top tier players who organized this 5v5 in Men of War 2. On Team A, we've got Sulatella as the motorized rifle battalion, Ahun as regular infantry, Quadrob as self-propelled artillery, and Morgan Black and Bubba both as the US Medium Tank Regiment. I hope I'm pronouncing some of these names correctly. Their opponents callously named Team B, Mamilza as the Panzer Grenadier Regiment, I Won the Internet as the Motorized Rifle Battalion, Black Nyasha as infantry, and then we have Osinovich List and ILAP as also medium tank regiments. So we got Team B here, which is going to be charging down on the western flank, whilst Team A is a bit more scattered around the middle and right, but both teams are going to essentially miss each other. And we'll see how Team A reacts to this spearhead on the west. Now, not going to dwell too much on the battalion choices. We do have 4 medium tank regiments. It seems like a lot of players like having that trade-off of getting a medium tank in that first early phase. If you want my opinion though, that's nothing AT guns can't handle from the shadows. I'm actually looking forward to showing you this in the future because Men of War 2 is a team-based game, and the synergy that you can have with an infantry player and an anti-tank gun player is pretty amazing stuff. This map is also pretty good for AT guns. You got a load of these hilly regions that you can stick an AT gun on, and the vision that you get from these areas is incredible. Also favors these rocket troops pretty well, as they're able to hide behind the hills, not able to get close enough there, needed to wait a little bit longer. Rocket troops fairly cheap to field, and with both teams favoring mobility in their lineup, between the medium tank regiment and the mobile infantry divisions, I can certainly see Panzerschrecks and M9 bazookas getting good payoffs. Black 38 here. Now, I recall seeing a plane earlier. It was just a scout plane. Solid way to open up and detect where your enemy is massing up on the border. Or maybe, not see where they are. You'll have to use the process of elimination to figure out where they might go. The only thing you can't do with a scout plane is just fly it right across the middle. It's a point-and-click ability. Team Red pushing all the way to the spawn, and I don't think there's any more territory they could possibly take. And they've left quite a gap along the edge. If you look at the map, they need to run infantry along it to capture it. That's looking like a kill shot for the Marder. And the crew gets ejected, slides across the sands. Infantry rushing up to claim a few more meters of ground. And surely it'd be tricky to hold on to this territory. There goes a rocket strike in the distance. In a 5v5, we'll be seeing a lot of stuff that happens in the distance. It's just kind of ambient war. Blue team looking like they're getting pushed back here on this eastern front. Can't see many enemies though. That is largely to do with the lack of infantry around. They are the ones which often provide us with the vision that we need. Now we're a few minutes in here and I have neglected to talk about one of the things I just wanted to... Ooh, nice pop-off. So many distractions in Men of War 2. Now, I mentioned that I got COVID. I'm not over it yet. Occasionally, I get a slug in my throat and I have to eject it. It's been an awful 2 weeks, and it hit right when Men of War 2 beta was running. So I didn't get as much stuff recorded as I wanted to. I managed to record a few of these top-tier games. These casts are not live, as I just could not even talk. In fact, my eyes were in so much pain and agony. I could only get like a little bit done of recording these matches before I just had to call it quits and go lay down and take my eyes off the screen. Luckily, I don't remember a thing though, so it's like watching these games for the first time, and they are very different to our regular standard casual play matches. This is looking a lot more fierce. We've even got trucks just driving in on here. Now, I've seen people try and run over infantry with trucks as a valid tactic. This one's weirdly running over 2 more guys as it's destroyed. Yeah, weirdly more successful than I'm used to. Lots more light vehicles hitting the field, but similarly also a lot more light vehicles getting destroyed. Here comes the great counter-offensive for Blue Team, though, on this western front. A lot of this area that we're looking at right now is in plain view of the peak of those ridges in the distance for Blue Team's spawn. That's why I think it's such an excellent AT gun map. It's very easy to hide the AT guns. Fire a shot. Ooh, double Zook for that truck. Now, this isn't the first time I've seen double Zooks just side by side. I'm wondering if that's kind of a common thing. Usually I like to split up my Zooks. Don't like to have my eggs in one basket. But at the same time, oh, here we go, bombs away. Stuart almost driving into that one. Half track may have no gunner, but they make up for that in ambition. More planes flying overhead. Looks like that one got cancelled. You can, if you feel that the plane is going to be at risk of being destroyed by anti-air. What are these camo crates doing here? Now, unlike the trucks which are driving in to crush infantry, I don't see the purpose of the ammo crates. I don't think anyone's running out of ammo at this point in time. Maybe just some spare command points. Just a cheap way of bringing infantry out into the field. There's a mystery there for sure. And I bet we'll get some answers in the comments from the players themselves. So we've got some bombs being dropped directly on the Lee, and the Lee is no more. As is the radar dish. Anyway, I was saying about the planes. If you feel like the plane might get destroyed by anti-air, you can recall it. There's a method of basically selecting it on the left-hand side where all your units are, and then just hitting the retreat button, and they'll just fly on back, and hopefully you manage to preserve yourself a plane. Blue infantry charging, 80 grenades in hand, but no plan in mind. Easily cut down, and seems unnecessary too, because there was a tank nearby to provide that fire support. That's why you've got to keep your head down and ask your allies if they can deal with a threat. What a senseless waste of life for those infantry. Half track taken out just before it crashes into the ammo crate. No weapons inside there. This isn't some battle royale loot box. Oh, the crew got an AT grenade as they hopped out of that moving vehicle. Not sure what that was exactly. The front lines of war are starting to level out, though. Blue team with a healthier distribution of units across the middle. The score is really close. Both teams almost at 1,300. Got a machine gun bunker pinged over here on the hard right. It's not where a plane is heading, though. There's a different machine gun bunker to crack open. Bombs away. It's not a direct hit, but the explosion has a large enough radius to hit them as well. Lots of blue infantry around these ruins area. It's probably the best place for the infantry to be on this map, since there's actual cover. The rest of the map, fairly wide open. You have medics doing some work in here as well. I've not seen any engineers, though. No trenchers, sandbags, any of that stuff. It's just pure war in this 5v5. Everyone focused on killing. Actually, I remember on this map, particularly on this right-hand side with all these hills, it's really difficult to get any kind of static defenses down. Like, you try and put trenches in place, and the game's just telling you, no, I can't do that there. The same with the sandbags as well. A little bit more flexible with the sandbags, but trenches, typically more preferential. Just works better against artillery, I guess. There's a Shafi weaving through the trees. I see a couple of Shermans up ahead. Might want to maintain a low profile. Ooh, rockets away. I don't think we need the message about the gunner and the driver dying and the engine being damaged. I think we can gather that. All right, blue team's got the orders to assault this area up ahead. However, it is red team which are pushing the boundaries. See if blue team can muster up anything to try and get that extra 100 points. And they could sure use it right about now. So, here's something I guess kind of interesting, is the preferences between having this frontline mode and the regular assault zone mode. I call it regular, you know, it was regular in Assault Squad 2, which is what we compare a lot to. Ooh, 80 grenades over the hill. And definitely not that far away. Now, I'm kind of thinking that because of this assault this area for 100 points mechanic or rule, I think it's kind of a little bit trickier to follow from a viewer perspective because we can't see what the objective is for the enemy team, where they decide to push or where the computer decides to generate an objective to push is hidden from us, whereas assault zones is just very, very clean and simple to understand. Here come the double Zook shots. It's a hit. I'm surprised that just didn't get turret popped. Ooh. Bit of stuttering there gets these guys slaughtered. Blue team is trying to push on that right. Meanwhile, we've got heavy gunfire in the middle. A lot more infantry than I kind of suspected. And even some flamethrowers mounted on the side of the half-track. We got half-track wars. I definitely like to cast some assault zones, see how it sort of plays differently. More explosions, huzzah! Now in Assault Squad 2, there was also the victory... Was it victory point or victory day? Victory control? Something like that. Basically, it was just one point in the middle of the map, and it was a really large point. That was quite an interesting mode, but because it wasn't the main mode, it wasn't played as much, which is a real shame. Like, what mode is considered the main mode is hugely important. And sometimes I don't necessarily think the main mode is the right one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. My thoughts, though, I think there should be a rotation. You know, so you boot up Men of War 2, you hit auto match, you might get assault zones, you might get front lines. I think some mixture is good. And then the community itself can decide what's the more competitive mode for tournaments and stuff like that, which I hear there is a interesting tournament system that is going to be implemented inside the game itself. That I am excited to see about. The score's looking still relatively equal. Just 40 seconds until Echelon 3 is unlocked. Sherman at the side of the road explodes. And did it just get really sandstormy all of a sudden? Visibility just dropped, and look at this smoke from this tank. The wind carrying it so fast. Got a sniper around here for a red team. Even one of the soldiers calling out sniper. You can also put soldiers inside those towers, but they're probably sitting ducks in there. Not sure if it gives you increased vision by doing so, but that could be pretty useful. That was a tiger getting destroyed. And tigers really don't feel like the fearsome force not to be reckoned with in Men of War 2. They aren't uncommon to see either, and they can come out at Echelon 2. We're in Echelon 3 now, so we might see things bigger than a tiger. Great bombing run there. Lots of flaming debris. Gotta keep your eye on the sky. I feel like I rarely get bombed when I play. I'm always hyper alert and fixating on any planes flying overhead. And mainly I also bring anti-air with me and I'm trying to help my team. Ooh, Calliope's out on the field. Rockets away. It's like the stars are falling from the sky on a sniper. The ridge is saving them. A Calliope pointed at a sniper seems like overkill to me. I'm still grateful for the fireworks spectacle, though. Off the sniper goes to continue their kill streak, the Calliope being recalled into the reserves. A common strategy that I'm seeing with artillery in particular is to call it forward, fire the shots off, send it back into reserves, and then you can bring out your second Calliope, fire the shots, and then essentially swap between the two in reserves. It's quite a high cooldown if you stick them in reserves. It's like 5 minutes plus. But if you've got multiple artillery units, you can just switch between them, and that'll work out just fine. Just lost connection with Ahern, but they'll be right back. Half-track getting destroyed. Living the dream, though. Still able to kill an AT gun, even when it's perished. Sherman at the back. Crying sniper. I don't think it has to worry about a sniper, though. There's plenty of other things to worry about as this battle starts to heat up more around the center. But that's largely because Blue Team have very little of their forces on the side. Red Team have now pulled ahead. There's some movement in the west and the east. Blue Team should have eyes around here soon. We've got a plane overhead. Spots one of the many infinite Shermans. Some explosions off in the distance. Wow, what's going on here? Rocket on the left, the flamethrower half-track. Don't care. This ain't no Men of War I'm familiar with. This is chaos. I thought this was supposed to be called Frontlines mode, and yet there's barely any semblance of a front line. This looks more like Quake Team Deathmatch as an RTS. Jagdpanther up on this hill. Bit of a sparking flame there on the side where it was hit. That's some interesting detail. Not at all tempted to rubberneck the pile of metal on the left that has collected along the road. Sherman called out just to dispose of these medics. I don't want any part of that. Red Team's doing incredibly well now. They've pushed past the 50% line on all fronts, and I'm gonna say this a lot, but damn, I wish we could have the whole fog of war off. And also, damn, I wish we could have Allies versus Axis to make this a lot clearer cut. But even so, this is the most action I've seen in any Men of War game to date. Time to swallow that slug. Ah, pleasant. My name's Anuki, and welcome to COVID Casts. It's brilliant. Get myself a little bit of water whilst we have this massive line of infantry keeping their heads down. I'd like to see a good strafing run. You can see at the bottom of the screen it's switched now, but you can change the bombing run types on a lot of the planes. Now, I didn't know that for quite a while. And it was a surprise to me when you figure out that you can do it. Strafing runs aren't too good. I do wonder if there's a difference in cooldown between the different bombing runs, because obviously that might be kind of handy just to pick a lower cooldown thing to use. But in any case, loving the flamethrower half-tracks. Those have got some insane range on them. Blue Team trying to push back on this right-hand side, reclaim some lost territory. Huge lines of infantry. It's a good way to start recapping land. Ooh, nasty explosion. Why has everyone got AT grenades ready in hand? Seems overwhelmingly like the only concern is tanks and vehicles. Oh, that was a Jagdpanther. Surprised to see that go. I think at the moment the sentiment is probably true. Tanks are the biggest threat, or vehicles. However, maybe in the future we'll see better synergy and see infantry flourish in the combined arms art of war. If you're watching or just background listening, because I know some of you do that, because some of you are like me, but a bit less weird, you might have a bunch of ideas of your own on how a team might organize and work together. There's so much to think about even before a match starts. So many different potential ways to play. Now, I've got a deck which is all about reconnaissance and planes, and I feel like it's a stupid way to play, but I love thinking about how that might just work in a group of 5. I've got my AT gun deck as well, which is all about defensively taking out enemy armor advances alongside an infantry player. With AT guns being cheaper to field, it means I can try and create a defensive line in at least 2/3 of the map, while someone focusing on tanks will have to focus on one area at a time. Here comes that Calliope shooting mostly for effect again. One of the rockets did manage to hit, but most of them just flunk into the dirt. The tank is gone anyhow. The crew managing to bail out. Now, if I squint real hard, I think we can figure out some rough battle statistics and try and figure out what's been going on here, because in the last 10 minutes, the battle dynamics have changed. Red team still in the lead, but only just. Say hello to the Panzerwerfer. It looks like blue team has destroyed more vehicles overall. Top 3, Ahun, Bubba, and Morgan Black with 16, 12, and 11 vehicle kills. Compared to Team B's Osinov, I Won the Internet, and Black Nyasha with 10, 8, and 9 respectively. So maybe red team sure had the lead earlier on, but that has come at a cost. This is one of the fascinating elements about this interpretation of a resource system. It might seem like you're doing well, but your attrition could be atrocious. I think what this means is there is very little capacity for snowballing. You just gotta get out there, do your best with what units you have. Rockets away again. Smack bang onto a King Tiger. Not many of the rockets are hitting, but it is destroyed. Doesn't take much. So this is like a really simple system at its core. You have X amount of units you can bring in. The only complexities, and there are some, you've got medics, which can recover the wounded soldiers. So that means you can keep on fighting and keeping tanks repaired and units stocked on ammo by rotating them into reserves and then calling them out later. Blue team making some big pushes on this west. Infantry has a tank in front of it. Oh no, little Stuart tank! Just drove right into that one. There is a survivor. There is no survivor. Secondary explosions. I hear more tanks around here. Yeah, there's quite a few vehicles all pushing up for red team. Suddenly that wave of infantry is gone. Rockets away again. Gotta be careful of the flanks. That's why you need your infantry to support your tanks. It's that combined arms. Never got around to finishing what I was saying. I was going to say that there was an added layer of depth, which is all in the setup. Obviously, you want your infantry player to field infantry because they can just field more of it. It's cheaper to do. Technically speaking, anyway, it's not entirely true. There is a limit, but I'm not going to get into that. Ideally, you don't want your tank player to bring infantry since it costs more, but then think about the trade-off of that. Maybe it's good to have some infantry as a tank player because you're spreading around the micro. One player... Hello, Slug. One player cannot fight around the entire map at the same time. Incoming rocket strike on a half-track. Nice. It's very satisfying. Again, I'm surprised at how many of those have hit. I'm also surprised at how many flamethrower half-tracks there are in this. really good for this hilly terrain. Takes a rocket right into the engine. Sniper. I thought they were going to pick off the gunner in the top then. But they had a change of heart. Just because that engine's damaged doesn't mean the guns don't work. So we just have like a turreted emplacement there now. Infantry trying to spread out. Infantry wars in the center. Planes flying over on the left. There's a Sherman back there. In this eternal Sherman war. Turret popped. Enemy Calliope firing, and it's got a good target as well. Any casualties? No. Just a lot of damage, but no kills. There's the Calliope going back into the reserves. Now, it is actually kind of possible to shoot that Sherman from the other side of the map with an AT gun. Past Echelon 2, you basically just have infinite range on anything. It gets incredibly inaccurate the further you go. All this infantry laying down in the dirt. Oh no, there's a half-track coming up on that flank. Can shoot down the entire road. Is there anything that can stop it? Yeah, run over the infantry, make sure that the medics don't have anything that they can pick up. Oof, that looked nice. Red team needs to hold nothing back now, as blue teams scorch their way to 2,100 points. Just under 7 minutes left on the clock. It does seem like red team are looking a bit more fierce, flinging their units into the middle of this battlefield. Oh, nice grenade. Just damages the turret, though. Oh, he gives us a twirl. Very fancy death. Over on the right, Steward tanks still appearing to get blown up. It's actually kind of surprising how many kills rockets have got in this match. I usually execute the policy of never advancing my tanks in front of infantry, which may be the wrong way to do it. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made for a few meters of delicious land. Oof. That was a violent sounding explosion. The Sherman belongs to Bubba on an incredible adventure trying to drive over the soldiers' legs. Is it a 105 Sherman, I think, firing on them? I mean, that's got to be a Panzerwerfer or a Nebelwerfer. Scoring a lot of infantry kills there. Oh, yes, it's one of these, the Nebelwerfer 42. It's a reminder of... I can't wait for the British to be added with their land mattress. That thing spits out a ton of rockets. Looks like some smoke has been deployed on the right here. Smoke actually has a new mechanic in Men of War 2. It reduces the accuracy when firing through it, and it's quite extreme. If you try to fire a rocket at a vehicle through smoke, that rocket will veer off to the side massively. It's quite amusing. You have to be careful that you aren't smoking yourself, really. Which, when I was playing with my infantry player, and I have my AT guns, the smoke was definitely not a help. We had these huge smoke walls. But we wanted to run through the smoke and take land, but doing so would mean just running into machine gun and tank fire. And there wasn't anything I could do to provide support because I had to fire through the smoke. So definitely smoke has a different tactical use in Men of War 2. Got a Panzer IV-G here, just keeping its head down. A Sherman is making its way over the hill. Rockets from a Calliope. bashing into the side of the Sherman. That is destroyed. And the turret, pretty high up in the air there. Maybe a new record. Oh, delicious bomb in the background. I love the background warfare. It's just so atmospheric. Where's all the anti-air, though? So many missing elements. No anti-tank guns, barely any anti-air, no engineers, no scout units, but that one isn't too surprising. I'd like to see some scout infantry out at some point, maybe in the next games. Is that a Calliope challenging a Stuart? It sure is. The Stuart not going to be able to do much from here, but I am kind of wondering if they can shoot off the Calliope rockets on top. Now, in Assault Squad 2, you could do that. In Men of War 2, I just don't know. And if you can do that, would putting the Calliope into reserves means that that would be repaired? These are some good questions. Look here, we've got Sulatella and Morgan Black, and a lone Panzergrenadier that's risking it all for nothing. It's a double wave of infantry spread out across the middle. Backing them up is a couple of tanks. Shukar making a maneuver to the right. Crew gets a bit of a shot being kicked in the backside. Tuning into this huge infantry wave push, just waiting to be eaten by that half-track that's coming over the mound. Well, there's a Calliope back on the field. Firing somewhere around here. Ooh, might have dropped a plane, it's entirely possible. Here we go, Calliope Wars. Will this Calliope be able to fire back? Is it going for that enemy Calliope? Does seem rather aimless. I mean, a huge shift to the right here as the whole of blue team just wants to recapture this lost territory. Usually moving tanks like this is just asking to be shot right in the side, but this map does kind of allow for it. All these ridges and bumps in the ground. Infantry pushing over the hills hard, firing on the move. That sounds like the Nebelwerfer 42. The Yarg backing into dangerously red barrels. Oh, I guess they aren't explosive. Something damaged its tracks, though. Could have been the barrels. Not discounting it. Now, blue team is starting to shift over in the direction of west. The Yarg, relatively carefree, doesn't care about the opposing Sherman on its flank. The teammate destroying its turret, so it's not going to be able to fire back now. It is as good as dead. We're getting a delightful charge over the hill. Blue team has abandoned their defense in the far west, but it hardly matters. There's no time on the clock, and red team's trailing behind by 400 points. Calliope on Calliope action. The pay-per-view event this Sunday night. Would you like to know more? Damn, I need a meta Starship Troopers war game. I've been playing the new Starship Troopers thing whilst I've been a little bit ill. But that's a blue team victory. I wish I could say it was an Axis or Allied victory to really punctuate this, but it was a combined effort of good and evil. We've got more Men of War 2 to come, but before we reach into the pocket of replays, I need to remind you, no, command you to come down to the Ironcast Discord. That's discord.me/Ironcast. Because then you can see some of the tank models we're working on, and maybe we can put together a Men of War 2 tournament. I'll leave it at that level of intrigue, hopefully. My name's Anuki, and I'll see you soon.